people should stop the Tariq talk. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's the best receiver in football right now, and he's a great player. He also made the comment that this Dolphins team is better than the Chiefs. This Dolphins offense is better than the Chiefs offense that he won a Super Bowl with, which I don't agree with at all. You have to be perfect, damn near. It's unfortunate. But you look at the guys who have won MVP that haven't been a quarterback, they pretty much pitch perfect season. Yeah. So the NFL MVP this year is going to be really interesting, man. Really, it's going to be really interesting because there's not a clear-cut guy. Right now, you would probably have to say Jalen Hurts, right? He's led some comebacks in recent weeks. They're the number one team in the league.
They're the top team in the league. But they're playing who are they playing?
San Fran.
San Fran this week, yeah.
They have San Fran still to play, and the one more tough team. I know they have one more tough. Oh, the Dallas. They have San
Cowboys.
Fran and Dallas right behind that. The San Fran game is going to be humongous to see how that plays out.
Well, the reason why I say that is if San Fran wins, kind of convincing, and I don't think they're going to smack the Eagles by 3 touchdowns or anything, but if they kind of control the game and win the game, to me, like, you're going to have that push for Purdy to get some more discussion in this MVP circle.
I don't think so, just because of what we saw when those guys were hurt, how bad he looked, and I think that's going to play a part. Now,
personally,
you're just saying get back into the discussion.
Personally, I agree with what you're saying. I think when the weapons weren't there, he was exposed a bit, but since the weapons have come back, they've been elite.
No.
And I'm simply saying, like, if they win and control, and he has a very good game,
he gets in the discussion. He will get back into the discussion.
But my belief is this thing's going to be won or lost in the last 3 or 4 weeks,
as it typically is.
Yeah.
And remember, last year it was Hurts. Hurts had it for the majority of the year, and then he got hurt. That was, like you said, the last 2 weeks. And then Mahomes kind of snuck back in there. They had 2 late
There's
ones.
recency bias.
There is.
And the problem with the recency bias is we're not waiting to week 16 and kind of then starting this, who's the MVP? You're starting it. We had our first MVP session a couple weeks ago. And so, like, what you have then is you have these things where you're kind of like eliminating psychologically guys along the way. Purdy's one of them. And so, like, that's the thing. So, like, it's almost like a campaign, like an election, where you have kind of ups and downs and momentum shifts.
But you know what I will say also, not so much of there is some recency bias. I totally agree with that. But also what there is because it's also a standings thing, right?
Yeah.
So also when the Eagles when Jalen Hurts got hurt, right? I think that was the key clincher. But sometimes what happens is a team will lose a game or 2 down the stretch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When it's like, so for example, right now the Eagles are they only lost 1 game, right?
Right.
They're 10-1. If what Mahomes need, if he wants a chance at winning this thing, and Lamar, is for them to lose to San Fran, for them to lose to Dallas.
Right.
Now, and the reason why I say no recency bias may not play a part this year is because, for example, the last 3 games for the Eagles are the Giants, Cardinals, and Giants. They're going to destroy those teams.
Right.
So, if it gets to that point, and then recency bias will say it's going to be Jalen Hurts MVP to lose. But if they lose to San Fran and Dallas, and they have 3 losses. Baltimore has 3 losses. Kansas City has 3 losses. I don't think recency bias is going to play such a key factor. I think also stats will come into play.
But it will in a way, because, like, what I was saying about Purdy is true about Hurts. If they win and beat the 49ers, and they maybe only have 1 other loss down the road, and they're sitting there at 15-2 at the end. It's his. And so, and that's part of that recency bias. But like you were saying, for Hurts' campaign, if they drop the 49er game, drop the Dallas game, and our 3 losses and a couple of these other teams are on par with that, that takes away one of Hurts' pluses.
Yeah.
And it kind of puts him back in that mix. And now that's why I said maybe, like, that's how a guy like Purdy gets involved in the discussion. Because, I mean, since they got healthy, and got Chase Young, they're smashing people. So, I mean, my line of thinking is if they beat the Eagles this week and blast people the rest of the way, like they're gonna. I think they're 3 losses, but we'll probably been on a 9-game winning streak at the end. And if Purdy's playing at an elite level, and the consensus is this is the best team in football, he's in the discussion. He might get it.
He'll be in the discussion.
The Chiefs have been hindered with the drops, and that's kind of it's resulted in some losses for the Chiefs, and it's also diminished Pat's personal stats.
It has, but if it's close, this is what what Mahomes needs help, right?
Yeah,
he's not in the driver's seat.
Yeah,
but my thing is, if this thing gets close, if Philly loses a couple games, and then you have San Fran, you have the Eagles, you have the Ravens, all with similar records. Then I think they will take into part the valuable piece, because Mahomes out of that group of guys will have the least amount of talent, but the same record with similar stats.
Here's everybody's pathway. Like Hurts, win these next couple games, get to the end of the year with the best record in football, and I think you win the award. Purdy, win out in dominating fashion. These other teams all take some lumps here and there, and you're the one that's the only team that's 14-3 at the end, and you've won 9 in a row, and you've been instrumental. That's your campaign.
You have a strong shot, yeah.
Pat's campaign. You get to the end of this thing, all the records are relatively comparable, and people in their gut can't fathom, knowing that you're the best player on earth, can't vote for somebody else. Like, if you don't have a clear advantage over Pat, you got to vote for Pat. Yeah. That's his campaign. Lamar, I think he needs help. I don't think he's an easy choice. I think the other teams need to falter a bit, and then if they continue to roll. He needs the most help,
unfortunately.
I do.
And the Ravens have had a good season. The problem is Lamar has statistically he's taken a dip. And maybe that's been needed for the team to take a jump. I don't fucking know.
Right.
But the defense is playing strong. They have a strong running game. But he hasn't been the same Lamar statistically that he's been in years past. But they're still winning. He's playing winning football. It's not that he's a bad player.
That's catch-22 because he also he hasn't had too many iconic plays this year. Yeah. Where that individual thing. And so again, he is such a brilliant, fantastic performer that again, part of his campaign would be to have a couple moments where only dude on the planet could do that. Yeah. Only dude, Yeah. And that's the thing. And so I think he's actually in the weakest position of this. But I think at this point, those are the 4. And if they all falter and Tariq gets to 2,000 plus yards, he might get a look. But
might get
very
down.
But
and
I'm
glad you brought that up because I did want to mention that. I do want people should stop the Tariq talk. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's the best receiver in football right now, and he's a great player. He also made the comment that this Dolphins team is better than the Chiefs. This Dolphins offense is better than the Chiefs offense that he won a Super Bowl with, which I don't agree with at all. But it's just that when you take a look at the Dolphins' losses against those great teams, like Tariq didn't play well either.
Yeah.
In those games, he had a couple big drops. Remember in the Chiefs game, he had that huge drop, and also his yardage is not there. And that matters, man, because you're already at a disadvantage. Playing any other position outside of quarterback.
Yeah, you have so many things against you.
You have to play up. You have to be perfect. Damn near. It's unfortunate. But you look at the guys who have won MVP that haven't been a quarterback. They pretty much pitch perfect season.
Yeah, and that's why his only pathway is to have the 2,000-yard plus season, which nobody's ever done. But he already has a couple hits, and in some of the bigger games, he hasn't delivered his best stats. Now, I mean, flip it. And if you said, if he had his 3 best statistical performances in the games that they've lost,
he'll be one of these guys on that list.
And it's a much stronger candidacy.
Yeah, he'll be one of those guys on that list for sure.
Yeah,
and I would love for a good person outside of quarterback to win MVP just because it doesn't happen that often, man.
Shout out to Tariq too. He popped up on the Champions League studio show.
Oh man, you got all these guys popping up.
They were down in Miami, and he came out and talked with the boys.
Do they? I mean, maybe they think it's when they say football. Let me tell you something, man.
No, of course. Tariq, of course, he fed the machine. He's like, yeah, when I was little, I played soccer up in the middle school, and I scored all the goals, and I wanted to do that. But ironically, the first person in the history is like, but my mom wanted me to play football.